Hello. My name is Adam, better known as Kimin, or Arcute. Yeah, today I would like to talk about the Guardian class and how is it play and everything. So let me just get started because the class is have enormous potential and to talk you through all of it. It's just gonna be like a half an hour. I just want to do it like a 4-8 minutes, just a quick walk through like the most important stuff, and that's it. The class is fueled by the virtues. You have a 3 virtues. It's like a DPS, heal, and block. They are passively triggered on you or hitting the other target, or they can be activated. Then your team member is gonna get boons from it, buffs from it. Yeah, I need to remind you something, that there's a terminology in the game related to the buff and debuff is a boon, and the conditions are the debuff. They can be stackable like a boons, and certain stuff they are not stackable, so they're just refreshing themselves from like the stronger ones. The other stuff, yeah, the virtues. The virtues, as I said, they can be triggered or they can passively trigger on you. You can share them with the party members. Yeah, the virtues, as I said, is a block, heal, and a deep damage. The block itself, it can be refreshed on you or every 40 seconds. If you're gonna share it with the party members, the first land damage on them is going to be mitigated, but the other ones they're going to soak in. The block in that game, it's not the stat, it's a buff, so you need to remember about it's a boon. You need to remember that it can be removed, it can be given, but it's not a passive skill. In case of a Guardian it is, because it's refreshing over 40 seconds, but in the gameplay you cannot have it just because you're well in the shield, wearing your shield. So I can get it from any kind of party member who's slotting in a traits, perks, or have like a passive skill like in a Guardian spec. So the block is not a stat, it's a buff. Everybody can have it. Even if you're not wearing a shield, you have a two-hander. You can have a Aegis block, because this is how it calls in the game. So yeah, pretty much block that's covered. And the guard, it's not working like you think. Everybody can give you guard, and everybody can have a guard. Guard is a boon buff, again like a block. It can be given or removed by party members. It gives you 33% damage reduction, but in the certain classes that the damage reduction can vary depending how you're going to spec in it. And the protection, it's a buff, and it can be it cannot be stackable, but it can refresh itself. So yeah, what I noticed from the gameplay, that the protection, it's not buff like you think. Its buff is given without like to everybody in the party. No, it's more like it works in a cone area, or like people affected by some sort of AoE skill. It cannot be given like just in an area, like in a vicinity, in a range, like certain boons, but it can be triggered by like on a person close to you if you use some sort of skill. So guard, it's semi-existing like in a Warhammer. So yeah, heals. There's no target heals in the game. You cannot press the target like a party member and heal him. Yes, go heals for the win. No, it's not working like that. The heals are passive. The people can be healed in vicinity of the like a ground effect skill, or cone heal, or a passive skill like in the Guardian case. So yeah, there's no target heals in the game, and the only target heals in that game is a self heal, which every class have a 3 of kind. There are, I think each class have like a primary healing skill which gives like a 9k heals or a 10k heals when you have like a 20k HP, so that's quite a lot. But 2 other heals, they like a supportive semi heals. They have a reduction of the healing possibility by 50%, or 40%, but they have some sort of like a passive attribute. In case of the Guardian, they have like a 2-second block. So while I'm triggering that skill, I have a 2-second constantly block, and at the end of it I'm getting healed. I think in other classes they have like removing the conditions, which are like debuffs every 10 seconds is a passive skill. So yeah, it's the only single target heal you're gonna get is from yourself. So you cannot complain that you're not gonna get healed because of you forgot about it, that you have a single target here. B, you didn't apply it soon. Or C, you get like crowd controlled. So yeah, there's many stuff that can affect the healing, so you cannot blame nobody else apart from yourself from not being healed. Boons and the conditions I said is like buff and debuff and resurrection. That's the really funky stuff in the game. Everybody can res anyone apart from the enemies. The stuff with the resurrection is quite funny because if you're gonna go down, the first stage of going down is getting fight for survival. You're like semi dead. You lie on the ground, you cannot move, you have 4 skills to use, which is like DPS, supportive, crowd control, and I think is it them and heal, self-heal. If somebody's gonna come to you and they're gonna DPS you, or they're gonna try to kill you instantly, like you see that in the moment right now. I'm fighting for survival, I have the 4 skills, I'm fighting for survival, I use a self-heal, now I'm attacking the person and I'm dead. You see that state? That's the last stage of the resurrection mode. You can get res even from that, but it's gonna take more effort from the team members to bring you up than from that fighting for survival mode. So you need to be aware of that resurrection, while you're dead, is not the end of the game. You just need more effort to bring you up to the game, so every person can. So yeah, resurrection is quite important in the game. It's not related to one person. Everybody can do that, and everybody should do that, and it's a team game. Guardian, as a class, as I said before, is a more supportive heal class. As you see now, a lot of heals are popping out. It's just because I have that trait spec'd up, which, you know, and now I just triggered the Virtue of Justice, which and Aegis and DPS. You see, a lot of heals around me are going up. The Aegis pop in and the DPS. I try to finish somebody here, so. Yeah, the class is really supportive and helps a lot in the DPS and defense, so and so on. I really recommend that class to play if you don't want to DPS a lot, because you're not gonna reach the highest DPS like other classes. The other stuff which is worth to mention, that the skills, which I'm using at the moment can be changed depending on the weapon you wield, but I really like the Scepter because it's range damage, and you have those 2 little skills which I really like, because in that game the Mesmer is really really good single target DPS, and it pisses me off like a mad when I see like one guy running towards me, and he's using these mirrors and clones, whatever it's called, and he's just killing me. And the only stuff to do this is just using the AoE, because those mirrors are so fragile that after 2 or 3 attacks they die, but they can put some sort of nice damage on you. Depends how the person is spec'd. So that's why I like to use the Scepter, because it can hold a person with the skill number 3 root him in place. It can use the AoE attack on the enemy, and is it ranged damage, so it's really good. As you see, I use that shield, which is constantly put in like a dome of absorb over the head. It's really good stuff because it's damage reduction of the range DPS. So I really recommend that to you guys. I don't know, there's so much more to cover, but I just don't want to do it longer than this. I really recommend you to play the Guardian. It's an awesome class to play. I've done so many beta tests, and every stress test, once I have opportunity, I just go log in and I do some testing on the heals and the supportive style of the gameplay of the class. I'm not turned towards the DPS, so yeah, pretty much that's it. Thank you for listening and have a nice day. Bye bye.